Hey, everybody, welcome back to Fourth and Neat. But before we jump into our interview, Jared and I have something to tell you. We call this our kind of like disclosure statement. Now, keep in mind, we're still new at this, and, we're working out the kinks as we go. And we've really been in this whole thing of like closing the time travel loop. Well, Jared, we just opened up a whole bunch of new issues.
This is for the disclaimer segment,
Yeah.
where we let everybody know, we remind everybody that we try to provide a space. Our initial launch, we said we were going to have athletes, celebrities, musicians, people from the bourbon world, regular Joes, and maybe people who write books that could be deemed conspiracy-ish. So we do want to, honestly, all truth, all no joking aside, remind people that this is entertainment. At no point is this representative of Fred and I's viewpoints. At no point are we trying to pass any of this on as truth. Again, when we had our guest on, we want to provide a space where they can tell their truth and not necessarily get into a full debate segment. So maybe if you're wondering why we didn't push back on certain issues, something like that, we were in the information gathering stage and asking questions and listening. But after review of the interview, we felt it was necessary to do our disclaimer segment here to let our listeners know that, again, just a reminder that we are not trying to push misinformation. We're not trying to push conspiracies. We are not trying to push facts or really about anybody. We have not fact checked. We ask you to fact check. You know what? Form your own opinions. This is basically people talking, having a good time, and you can form your own opinions. But we had to say this because our guest does represent information that he passes on as truth, as information. And again, we don't necessarily share all the same views of our guests. Disclaimer, done.
And see if you can find the ghost dog. We're almost positive we saw a ghost dog.
There's definitely a ghost dog. There's a ghost dog.
I was just saying, this interview, I've interviewed politicians in my life, presidents of other nations. Throughout my career, I've interviewed coaches, athletes, just everyone. This is the most unique interview I have ever done in my life. And Jared said, like, you may be wondering like why we didn't push back. Honestly, didn't know how to, and so I didn't know how to. I didn't know what to say and when. And
you know what it is, Fred, too? There was a lot of information coming at us.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have time to Google it fast enough.
Right.
So, I mean, early on, I made a decision, like, I'm just going to listen. This is fast. And again, you know what? There was a review on one of the books that said whether you believe it as the book was written as his autobiography, right?
Mm-hmm.
But whether you believe it as such or as just science fiction, it was pure entertainment, right? It was a very captivating story, and it's very, you can kind of get lost in it.
Right.
And so I think with that again, and again, we're only doing this because we don't want to ruin it by telling you, what it is.
Yeah, we did tease the ghost
there is some
dog,
controversy in it, right? There's some things that people are going to say this is absolutely 100% fake news, and I'm not buying it, which is absolutely, you're great. I mean, that's a great stance to take, whatever you want. But anyways, that was the point of this, is to let you guys know that we are not pushing this as real information.
And also,
but if you believe it is real information, God bless you.
Also, put in the comments what you think of the interview, what you think is true, what you think might be BS, and also stay tuned for next week, because Jared and I are actually going to rewatch the interview and critique ourselves and critique the interview and kind of give our thoughts, and it gives us a little bit more time to do some fact checking. I also think I need to consult a priest. Hopefully I'm not kicked out of the Catholic Church. So, but enjoy this week's,
everybody. Lots of satire.
What's that?
I think we made our public announcement statement very well, and hopefully we're not offending our guest in the process. But that was one of these ones where going back and listening and thinking about it, I was just like, wow, that was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of stuff.
You wanted the Montauk. You wanted it. You got it.
I did. That was our point, everybody. I tried to close the time loop continuum on time travel.
You realize what you just did there?
in the Montauk.
Did you realize what you just did? Oh my gosh, everyone. Wait till you see this. Jared has already been taken in. But yes, everyone, enjoy the interview. See us next week. Jared and I are going to talk about it again.
I really am curious what people's thoughts are.
Me too.
Honestly, curious what people's thoughts are.
All right.
Be good.
Cheers. Jared Allen, how you doing, my friend?
Ma'am, I'm doing pretty good. Although my face, for some reason, like I feel like this is like my camera is really zoomed in on my face, or my face got bigger since our last episode.
Well, you did tell me that you just harvested sweet potatoes, right?
Yeah, which will go to your head. Everybody knows that. You get a good harvest of sweet potatoes, your head just
you become the shape of the sweet potato.
You get real excited. Excited. So got the wheat planted. Got my winter wheat planted. Got my sweet potatoes and pumpkins harvested, and I gotta be honest, I'm excited about today's show. I am very excited.
Oh, me too.
I've been excited for like 2 weeks about today's show.
I know. This is like, our guest today is a dream guest, and I gotta preface this too, because he may not know. Like I recently had eye surgery, which is why I have to wear these. But I'm getting close to where I can handle the light, Jared. Look at that. See that?
Yeah. You know what? Seeing the light takes on a totally different meaning for you now, Fred.
It really does. But it's still like, I still need it because it still hurts over too long of a period with all that light. But
and you look badass with the sunglasses on.
I do look cool.
Although I noticed they're slowly getting like more stylish. You need to get some blue blockers.
Yeah,
you need to go straight blue blockers. All right, enough about us.
That's the big one there.
Yeah, you don't remember the blue blockers?
I do.
Come on,
like the kids with the spiked hair and ripped shirts.
No, they had like a whole rap about blue blockers. You know what I mean? I'll pull it up, dude. I'll pull it up.
All right, I'll take a look. But
now our next guest after this week,
he's already regretting joining
the guy
us.
who wrote the Blue Blockers song. That's who I want.
Well, our next guest is Dr. Stewart Swerdlow, who is. It's a real honor to have you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I hope I feel the same after it's over.
Trust me, you won't.
You're
gonna be like,
I had a feeling.
Why did I come onto this show with these two jokers?
Of nobodies around here. Yeah. We talk about nothing too. I don't know why even people tune in, to be honest with you. So I'm excited. So let me preface this back for any new listeners we've had. So, and for Dr. Stewart here. So we went down a rabbit hole. I don't even know what started. We came up with a thing called a conspiracy corner, just to go down and just bring our guests. Like I said, most of our guests are athletes or musicians or someone in the bourbon world or something like that. So just to talk goofy stuff with them, right? So we started down the rabbit hole on The Simpsons and how they have predicted like 35 events throughout the 35 years. Seems like once a year they predict a major event in U.S. history or world history, whatever it is. So then, which then led us to time travel, obviously, right? Which then led me to see about the Montauk Project, which then I saw an interview of you. I think it was back in the 80s or early 90s. I think it might have been late 80s at Camp Hero. And then I read, the story about your book and how, and I'm not trying to, ruffle feathers, but then how I think Stranger Things is kind of loosely based on your book, or is based on your book. Anyways, and then we started talking to another buddy. We were going down the flat earth and time travel, which then led me to the Philadelphia Project Project Philadelphia, which one it was called. But then, leads down to the original, the Rainbow Project, which was the CIA project as well. So the fact that we have you on and when Fred sent me the interview, I was like, we got to see if we can get Dr. Stewart on. I mean, we have to close the loop, no pun intended, on the Simpsons time travel thing. And so here we are, Dr. Stewart. I mean, I have a ton of questions, but I want to listen more so than anything. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and your story and what brought you to writing your book that's actually has a lot of controversy, has a lot of real-time implications and a lot of things have spun off of that book.
Well, actually, we've written 50 books.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I meant the with
yeah.
the alien one. I forget the. I probably forgot the title.
Montauk Alien Connections.
Montauk Alien, yes, right, yeah.
It's all right. Maybe a little bit too much bourbon this morning, but it's okay for you.
It's coffee for me right now.
Where's mine? I'm waiting. So anyway, so where do I begin? I guess I have to begin why I got involved with it in the first place. And I've written about this. A lot of people know about it. My great uncle, Yakov Sverdlov, was the first president of the Soviet Union. And his son, Alexei, Alexei is somebody else. Andre was my father's cousin and my second cousin, and he started KGB. And so, and my grandmother, Maya Sverdlova, was a Soviet spy during World War II. And I always remind people that during World War II, the United States and Soviet Union were on the same side. And actually, they still are, but nobody realizes that. And so because of that background, my father, when he was in the United States Army, was taken into an underground base near El Paso, Texas. And mysterious things that happened there. When he got out of there, we were followed by Secret Service for several years. And it ultimately led to me being used in the Montauk Project from 1970 to 1983. So that's the background of how I became involved in it.
So you aren't originally from the Montauk area then, correct? Your family from is from Russia, but where in the United States, where were you born?
I was, let's say, created in the Soviet Union and brought to the United States. I'll leave it at that. But I actually now, since 2022, since the Ukraine war, I had been asked by the United States government to be back channel between the U.S. and Russia, which I have been doing for the last 3.5 years. I was involved in the exchange for Brittany Griner, who was, arrested in Moscow and put in prison, and then I helped arrange her release. I also arranged the Istanbul Peace Conference between the U.S. and Russia in November 2023, and I led the U.S. delegation there, and that led to all of the meetings that we're seeing now between President Trump and President Putin and other people in both sides of the ocean.
So did you officially serve in the U.S. Army in an official capacity then, or how do you get dubbed for the back channel role of American Russia go-between, I guess? And what does that entail, for what you can tell us?
Well, I was involved in a lot of government experiments, as you know. I was known. It's an interesting story. Back in 2020, I was invited by a senator. A lot of people know my work, and this senator invited me to the North American Space Summit. And I said, what the heck am I going to do there? I'm not involved in space. And so they said, you have to go. There's someone there you need to meet. So I went, and that was COVID time. So everybody's wearing their mask, and it was in this fancy hotel in a resort area. And there was this glass elevator, and I got a text message saying I was invited to this meeting in the penthouse area. So I said, come to the elevator at such a time, and I did. And all these generals, admirals, Congress people, senators were all there. And I thought, what the heck am I doing with these people? So I got in the elevator. It was a glass elevator. So I pushed myself all the way to the back. So my back was against the glass, and all these people were in front of me. And this man was in front of me, back to me. And he turns around, and all I see is his eyes because he has his mask on. And he says, I'm going to enjoy working with you in the future, Stewart. And he turns around. What the heck am I going to do with you? So we get to this room on the penthouse, and this big view of the water and everything. And they line us all up like in a semicircle. And the senator says, now I want you to all introduce yourselves to each other. So I go, oh, great. I went to the end, so like I'd be last. Maybe they would forget about me. And so this was, I'm Admiral so-and-so, I'm Congresswoman, blah, blah, all the way around. And it gets to me, and I think all I could think of is that Sesame Street song, one of these things is not like the others, one of these things just doesn't belong. And that was me. So all I said that I was friends with the senator and, I didn't know why exactly I was there. And after the meeting, they all started running up to me and saying they knew who I was. They knew my work. They read my books. And I was kind of shocked that these government people knew who I was. And that's kind of how I got involved with these government individuals and agencies.
Okay.
I would never have wanted it or imagined it.
Now, why were you so surprised about your work? That was my question is how does work then in your world? I know, I guess I go back to 2020, bro. Let me ask this question better. So, everything before 2020, the thing around aliens, UFOs was automatically considered, conspiracy, theory, people believe, they don't believe, yada, yada, yada. Then during COVID, they just kind of back page released that, yeah, UFOs are real. And all of a sudden you got testimony on Washington with high-ranking military officials saying that they've seen these crazy, flying objects, all over the world. Does it lead to aliens? I don't know. But there's hard evidence that, unidentified flying objects are out there. So I guess my question to you would be, do you feel vindicated in stuff like that? Because I know some of your writings before that have been deemed, controversial, conspiracy. So do you deem vindicated with something like that? Or do you look at it as people trying to hide in plain sight? Or do you think that those are just, not really that they know exactly what they are, they just don't want to tell the public?
Well, it's very interesting that you use the word vindicated because I get debriefed once or twice a week, now almost every day with what's going on, by the man I will call the director, who was the one in front of me. And we've become close and traveled internationally together since that time. And he will always say to me, well, Stewart, you will be vindicated with all of your work. Everything you've written will be proven true. And he uses that word all the time. So I'm wondering if you have any connection to this person.
I don't. That I can tell you I do not. I can promise you. I know nobody in the government.
No? Well, they know you. Let me tell you.
Right? Everybody,
in fact, can you speak into this? Can you speak into this a little louder? No, so that's what happened. And so actually, that person came to my home and interrogated me for 7 hours without a break. He stayed over my house and said, we'll resume in the morning. And we had another 3 hours in the morning. So I had 10 hours of interrogation, most of which was about Montauk Project, by the way. And the rest was about my family and Russia and so on. So I'm known, let's put it this way, by people I didn't know who knew me.
Yeah. I mean, so.
But I should have known. I should have known because I was in late 80s, early 90s. I was put in a prison camp by the American government and interrogated about my loyalties. Who would I support if the U.S. was invaded? What did I know about all these things I was interrogated. And then when I was walking in New York City one day, I was literally pulled into a federal building, put into a men's bathroom with the door locked behind me with these two men, and they took out photographs that were taken by Soviet satellites of Area 51. And they said to me, why were these photographs taken? What's going to be done with them? And I said, how would I know? Ask the people who took those pictures. And when I mentioned this to the director years later, he says, well, it's a good thing you said that, because if you said you knew anything, you would have been arrested and taken away. So I guess God was with me that day. But it's been, our phones are tapped, mail is open. That's been my whole life in the United States. Always phones tapped.
You think that's all, is that all based around what your, I guess would be you said your great-grandfather or your grandfather?
My great
uncle. A great uncle, I'm sorry.
His name was Yakov Sverdlov, if you can look him up. He was first president Soviet. His brother was my grandfather. And my grandfather was sent to Britain to start the Communist Party there.
Okay.
And when he was successful, then they sent him to the United States.
So let me ask you this. What kept you in the United States all these years with kind of, it seems like you've always been on the radar and you've always been challenged. Now, granted, obviously you've been helping the American,
Yes.
our country, right?
Yes.
So what? But it seems like, I mean, to me, I look at it, I'm like, holy crap! Like that just seems like a thorn in my side, and the constant barrage of checking in on, being grabbed, this, scrutinized, and the other. That is so. I mean, I admire your loyalty. Then, so what? But what kept you here? What about this country gave you a sense of optimism? Well, I mean, otherwise you'd go back. I mean, right? That's what I would. That's what I would do.
And that's also it's also very interesting that you're using these terms because over the years I did go back and forth.
You did, okay.
At one time, it was in 2012, I was asked to do a lecture tour across Russia. And I did. And one of the places I went was my family home, which is in the city of Nizhny Novgorod, which is 400.
You still have family in Russia?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. And it's 400 kilometers east of Moscow.
Okay.
And my family home is now a museum. And so I got there on a Sunday, I believe, from Moscow, and it was locked. They locked up the museum. So I went to this place next door and I told them, I'm here, and I told them who I was. Well, the woman said, I'm the curator, and she got the key and she opened up my family's house and she took me through, and all the, pictures and everything that was on there. My great grandfather, Mikhail Sverdlov, was a printer, and he was the one that printed the documents for the Red Army before the revolution so that they could go anywhere in Russia without being stopped. He gave them documents. Yeah. And so his printing press was still there. Everything was still there. And then they took me upstairs and they showed me other things. And then they asked to take my picture. And they said that I would be the only living Sverdlov on the wall of the museum. So I'm hoping it stays that way for a long time.
Wow.
That I'm still
Hopefully
living.
It's not foreshadowing anything, right?
Yeah, because they have this sudden Russian death syndrome now, where you get pushed out of windows accidentally.
Oh,
So I said, well,
I say nothing because they're all listening. That's why I said I'm like Switzerland. I'm just neutral when it comes to belittling other countries.
no. So in that trip, to your point, I was in Novosibirsk, which is the central Siberia, and the people there were KGB. The people who were sponsoring me were KGB, which now they call FSB. And so on my way I was leaving Russia. I was going to Istanbul after that. They kept telling him in the car to the airport, you have to come back and live here. You would be a hero. You have to live. And I'm like, it was like overwhelming. I'm like, well, I have my wife and my children in the United States. I'm not just going to leave them and they're not going to come here. And that's one of the reasons, to answer your question, is that all these years I have, my life is here. My family's here. My children, some of my grandchildren. And so I don't want to leave. And if I did, it would only be like back and forth temporarily. So what I'm doing now is helping to promote a normalization between the two countries. Because what most people don't understand is that what the media is portraying about Russia and China is not correct. In fact, the Russians told me they consider China to be a dangerous neighbor. They don't like the Chinese, but they're working with them because the Chinese are facilitating oil shipments of economic work and things like this that now has been blocked by the West. So that's the only reason they're working with the Chinese, but they don't like them.
Yeah, you know what they say, right? Keep your enemy or your friends close, your enemies closer, I guess.
Yeah, and what also, as far as history, people don't understand. During the mid-1800s, when China was operated by dynasties, warlords, and things like this, there was fighting in China with the British, with the French, all going on around them. And when that happened, China used to control or be part of all of Eastern Siberia was actually part of China. So when all of these wars were taking place and China wasn't able to support this area, the Russians moved in and took over Siberia. And so the Chinese have an idea that they're going to get that back. And that's another point of contention between the two of them.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't. I got to be honest. My world history is down right now between those.
I think I'm sorry, but most Americans
and I
know
quit,
nothing
I quit believing
about
what I
history.
heard on the media a long time ago. I tell you what, that is a 100% true statement right there. That I think we get partial truths about everything. I miss the good old days of Walter Cronkite. Just reading the news, and then you had to go sit down with your friends and chat it up and come up with your own conclusions. Nowadays, you can go down whatever rabbit hole you want.
Well, did you hear Walter Cronkite's name came up in the Epstein files?
Did not.
It did so.
Not. I do know.
Yes,
there's a mad push right now to get those released. I don't know why they don't release them. Hey, I'm not a doctor, Dr. Stewart, but logic tells me if there's nothing to hide, let the people know. You know what I mean? Let them know.
Well,
when it comes to Russia and China, did they have an equivalent to the Montauk Project?
Yes. In the city of Yekaterinburg, which, again, background story. Hold on a second. I'm getting messages for the Rush. I have to relay messages between the United States and Russia all the time. So I keep getting these things, but I'm not answering it right now because you are special. And so
appreciate that.
Yeah. And so you were talking about if Russia had the same place. First of all, deep in the Ural Mountains, underneath the Ural Mountains separate European Russia from Asian Russia. Deep under there is a very large underground base that is joint Russian, human, and alien working there. Now, the city of Yekaterinburg is just south of there. Yekaterinburg was the place my great uncle ordered the assassination of the Romanov family, the Tsar and his family. And so when that happened and Russia became Soviet Union, they renamed the city and the whole, in Russian it's called oblast, in English is a province. They renamed it Sverdlovsk, the place of Swerdlow, Sverdlovsk, and it's still that name. But after the fall of the Soviet Union, Sverdlovsk, the city, became Yekaterinburg again. But it is in Yekaterinburg where they had their own Area 51, their own Roswell. It was all there in that city. So they do have the equivalent.
So when you talk about aliens and humans working together, then I've always wondered. So UFOs, with the amount of space technology and cameras and the amount of just pictures being taken of this world all the time, right? I just watched what is it called? The Quiet Place last night, Quiet Place 1 and 2. Why don't we see alien beings as we picture them, as we would, picture them? So that's always kind of been my question and my pushback. I'm not, again, I'm kind of agnostic on the fact of whether there's more out there or not. As a Christian, I kind of believe that, maybe there's not. I feel like God had that worked out. But
you think God would make one planet out of the cajillions that are out there?
No, I think he's the y'all creator, so that's why I don't question it. So I do resign certain things to faith. I do resign as a Christian that you rely on certain things of faith, and not everything is meant for me to understand. So from that standpoint, I do think that the world and the galaxies as a whole have mysteries to them ever. But I always rely back to the amount of telescopes, this, that, and the other. You think you would accidentally catch a picture of one of these beings or something like that?
They have.
Yeah, and it tends to get brushed away, right? So that's kind of where I'm saying. So when you say that they're working in conjunction, or it's a half alien, half human base, are you saying they're working side by side? Are aliens what we would view them as, as Hollywood is portrayed, or or are we talking more technology stuff? Or
you want to know what they look like? Is that what you're
not
asking?
what they look like, but how come there's not more? I mean, maybe there are. Maybe those are hidden, right? I don't know. I guess more public encounters, so to speak.
There are.
Okay.
Not all aliens look like monsters. There are human aliens. Remember that. Okay, I'm gonna teach you a class now.
Please do. I'm here to learn. I'm completely. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't.
You're an open book.
I'm neutral. I'm neutral on this. So I want to listen. I want to learn. I want to absorb.
First of all, I want you to realize In our galaxy alone, there are about 400 trillion stars. If 1/10 of 1% had intelligent life, how many civilizations would that be? Multiply that by 100 trillion galaxies in our universe, and multiply that by infinite universes, other dimensions, and so on. You can't count the number of civilizations. And every type of being that you can imagine exists somewhere. I'm going to tell you something, that you probably have met aliens and sat right next to them on an airplane or in a public area because they look just like you. It's not all of them. There are some who look like insectoids, some who look like the Greys, some who look like reptilians, but there are many who are human-looking. All human civilization in this galaxy started in the Lyrae star system. That's where humanity began. That star system was attacked by the reptilian Draco eons ago. And the humans that survived spread out into our solar system and galaxy and created new civilizations. So they look just like you and everybody else here, you see? Now, since that time, there has been genetic manipulation by other species of different races. That's why we have different races on the Earth. It's because there's been manipulation. I will also tell you that there have been 7 pre-Adamic civilizations on this world, meaning before Adam, there were 7 civilizations that existed and then went away. We are the 8th civilization on this planet. And that's why when they dig into coal mines in Siberia, China, and even West Virginia and wherever, if they go deep enough, they have found artifacts that are tens of millions of years old. A cow, the skull of a dinosaur with a bullet hole in it. A human shoe buried in millions of years ago coal in Kentucky. I think that's where you are, isn't it?
That's where I am. Yeah.
And I once lived in Ashland, Kentucky.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's Ashton? Is that east
Ashland,
or west? Ashland.
On
Okay.
the border of West Virginia.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so they used to tell me, what's the best thing to come out of West Virginia? An empty bus. I mean, rivalry between Kentucky and West Virginia. All right. It's like,
Yeah.
have you all looked in the mirror? Anyway. So
I mean, when you're bringing this stuff up, I'm not gonna. So I'm just trying to absorb it, and so I can't. But I keep thinking about the movie Men in Black, and I feel like again here. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Hollywood's been telling us these things, and just under the disguise of entertainment. But
yes.
So let me ask you this: we just lost them. Red, where are you at on this?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Oh, I know. Where are you at on this? We lost Dr. Stewart.
We lost Dr. Stewart. I mean, everything he's saying is like very, very convincing to me.
Very deep. It's very deep in detail.
Very much.
I don't have to. And that's what I was about to ask him about this. Is what's going to say from a faith background. I just can't get up behind the whole.
Do you remember?
Generation.
Yeah. Do you remember? One of the episodes I talked about like how there's a priest that says that aliens are really demons.
Remember so that I actually when he said that, that's what I was going to say. I do believe that there are angels and demons that walk freely among us. So that's where I'm saying I think there's some crossover where people consider aliens as this. I want to dive back into the Montauk project with him because he's throwing out a lot of facts. I want to ask, how does he know about these facts? And it was just part of the Philadelphia project when he time traveled and this kind of stuff. And so, again, to everybody watching and listening, these are not Fred and I's views. We give everybody a safe space to talk about what they want to talk about. And Dr. Stewart has made a living, on some of these controversial topics. And with the whole, trying to figure out time, space, continuums, and dimensions, and aliens, and this, that, and the other. So again,
So
it's
yes,
fascinating. I don't know that I believe it all or any
yeah.
of it,
So
but it's
he
fascinating.
has, one of the things that popped up when I was doing my research is that he's he's brought up he's been brought up in like Senate hearings, congressional hearings. There were some classified things that have been declassified under the recent Trump stuff. So his name is actually in those circles of a lot of like government paperwork. Um, and like, one of the things that's real easy to fact check is he had said his great uncle ordered the assassination of the Russian royal family. I
Yeah.
mean, if that is indeed his uncle, that legit happened.
Oh, 100%. There's
That was
actually a
his.
play about it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's literally, it's called Anastasia. They
yeah.
made a Disney movie about it,
Mm-hmm.
which is not that great of a movie for Disney to make because it starts out with
Oh.
parents getting murdered.
Yeah.
Not that tight.
I just messaged him if he's able to come back. I mean,
Okay. Hey, listen,
I don't
I had
know.
more questions, and I
Yeah.
apologize. I know this was probably one of our more silent episodes. I'm just trying to take it in, form opinions and,
Yeah,
and questions.
I was really taken aback by his like
There's a lot of detail. I wanted
conversations,
to ask about Draco. Like, how does he know Drake? I have, where does that history book lie? Like, seriously, I want to be like, where?
Yeah.
How do you learn the history of that Draco overtook this universe, this planet, this, that, and the other? That's where I go back to the Montauk project. We didn't even get to get full circle back to the Montauk project yet. But interesting.
But he did say the Russians were calling him, so maybe it was just one of those he had to take it. Because
yeah. Although I feel like if you're I mean, that much Russian back channeling, like, is he allowed to tell us that?
I mean,
I don't know, Fred. I got
State
questions.
Department, State Department people.
More questions. I got more questions.
So I will say this, like, I didn't see his hand go forward where he turned it off or anything. It just like went away.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he got cut off.
Holy shit!
I don't know. I know that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
something funky just happened. Boom.
Maybe
it just went.
Maybe he was not a lot, but maybe he just back channeled conversation too much, and
he was talking and giving out. He told us that there's an joint alien base and human base in
Russia.
I can't pronounce the name of the city. He said. I'm not even going to try because I'll butcher that. That's what I'm saying. There was a lot of like direct information that he was, maybe not. I mean, it's hard to ask him about football and bourbon now.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah,
I don't want to talk about Draco.
Although I do want to get your thoughts on the
what's going on
Giants Broncos game.
Ooh,
wow.
Oh, okay. Two things. A, you can't miss that kick. B, you can't throw the ball in that situation. You got Scadaboo. I don't even know if Scadaboo was playing. I didn't really watch the game, but you cannot. You're up 10 with, I think, 6 minutes left to go? 4 minutes left to go? Mm-hmm. You cannot give them the ball back. I don't care. You run as much time out and you punt. The worst thing you can do right there, A, it's if you're throwing it and you're incomplete, you're stopping the clock, right? But B, you create a turnover and you give a short field and now the game's flipped, right? So in that situation, you're clearly been playing decent defense all day, right? And you had a big lead, and you go out, you got to punt the ball. I used to have a coach that would say, if you're kicking the ball, like punting is a good thing, right? Because if you're punting or kicking the ball, you're not turning it over. So, that instance right there. And then, you got to make, that extra point comes back to bite you because, hey, guess what? Now at least you're going to overtime. Do you still win the game? I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like that was some mismanagement right there by the play callers. And then if you do feel the need, you need to run or throw the ball in that situation, you get them outside the pocket, right? It's a run pass option. You put them on a bootleg. If it's wide open, you throw it. If not, you tuck it and let Dart run the ball, in my opinion. But hey, listen, I'm talking to you. I'm not getting paid to coach, so what do I know?
Yeah. But I love Scabadoo.
Oh, Scadaboo. That's
Scadaboo.
New York needs a Scadaboo. I feel like he's like reincarnation of Jeremy Shockey, but at the running back position. You know what I mean?
Well, they say he's really dumb, so that tracks. Yeah.
I've had a few conversations with Shockey. He didn't come off as dumb. Shockey, man, that dude is legendary in his own right. That dude is in Oklahoma. I heard that dude would street fight anybody. And I remember our rookie year, he fought when he was with the Giants. He fought a linebacker because they tried to make him get up on the table and do his fight song or say his signing bonus or whatever, and he wasn't having it. And I guess they went to throwing blows, and that spread around the entire NFL that Jeremy Shockey's over there, kicking butt as a rookie. I think we have a comment here in the chat.
Oh, we have chat.
Yeah, I have a one just popped up in the chat here. Stewart, can you hear us?
Man,
I feel like some weird stuff is going on right now.
I know. I'm like kind of freaked out,
Dr. Stewart, if you're messing with us, don't be messing with us, Dr. Stewart.
I am legit freaked out at the moment.
What if he's time traveling right now?
I feel him trying to come in.
I need to ask him directly. Is he time traveling? I want to know what dates he's been to. I need this answer.
Well, also, he has formed like kind of a belief system, and I wanted to get in that a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like
you were kind of going down the faith route, and I thought that was a really good segue for him to talk about some of that.
Yeah, I also had questions about based on faith too. Is like when you brought up to China versus Russia being enemies, but they pretend to be friends. I was like, it kind of makes sense because Russia is, I believe, Russian Orthodox is just a branch of the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah. No. It's its
own deal. But it's same. But they believe in Jesus. They believe in God. They believe. I don't know anything about the Russian Orthodox Church. So, but that said, there's a faith element to it where China has a zero faith.
They're killing Christians.
It's illegal. It's illegal to be Christian. Well, anything in China. So I feel like those are some moral codes that just don't vibe. You know what I mean? Like you can't have a pretty legit faith-based country and then, anti-faith-based being besties. I don't see how that works. But anyways, yeah, I got, now I'm like, we didn't even get to talk about the Back to the Future. I mean, there's so many, that's what I'm saying. Like he's over there when he was talking about how aliens look like you and I, like we talked about, angels and demons, but it's like, okay, so you got Men in Black. We already talked about The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I feel like hey, listen, just connect the dots, people. Be your own judge. Just saying. It's interesting.
And, you gotta ask yourself too, like, athlete wise, are some of our greatest athletes aliens? I mean, Jared, are you an alien? How do I know you're not an alien? I mean, you're like,
how do I know I'm not an alien?
You're massively good at stuff.
That's my next question. See, Fred, you're asking, and he said, I know I'm smiling, but I'm like, legit. Do the aliens know they're aliens? I'm not an alien. I know I'm not an alien. But
I think the reptilians know they're reptilian.
Yeah. Well, now here's the deal. But then you got people that are so weird, like the lizard people. You know what I mean? Like, not buying it. See, that's again where faith gets me. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes,
Stewart, yes, you're back.
Have you been able to hear us the whole time?
I bleeped out of reality. I could because all of a sudden the screen said connection gone, and it took me all this time to get back.
I'm not gonna lie, Dr. Stewart, you're kind of scared of some weird. All of a sudden we're talking about some, you're getting specific on some Russian bases, and all of a sudden you vanish.
Listen, that's happened before. Okay,
I got questions. I was just talking.
I was legit scared. I was legit scared.
I got so many questions here. All right, I want to come back to the Montauk project for a second. So with that, how old were you? How old were you when you were a part of the Montauk project?
I started when I was 13.
13. Okay. Now, from what I've read, again, is that some didn't survive. There's a lot of people that didn't survive. Is there a group of you that did survive that you guys are allowed to talk about? Do you try not to avoid it? And then to carry on that, on the time travel piece, because you've mentioned some. I know some of your work is kind of about like that space time continuum, and you're talking about the Philadelphia, project, and that kind of with the government experiments where they were trying to basically de-ionize, correct me if I'm wrong, a boat, right? A ship to make it invisible to satellite radio, but to actually try to make it invisible to the naked eye. So how does that work? Like, have you been to other dates? Have you been to other spaces? And, and then like with compounded with the aliens, it's like, when you're there, do you even know you're there? Do you realize you're in a different dimension? Do you realize you're in a different, like, would an alien know that they're an alien?
There's a lot of questions there,
I know.
Jared.
I was like,
Dr.
what?
Stewart, I got you're blowing
like,
my
Jared,
mind over here. You're very.
I told you he
detailed.
was excited to.
I
Very detailed. So now I got questions.
Back away from the bourbon, Jared. Okay. No, I want to see your hands up. I want to see your hands up.
Let's start with the Montauk Project. Have you been to others, times, and dimensions?
Yes, and it's in my Alien Connection book.
Yes.
One of the things they had me do was travel back in time to the time of Christ.
I did read that. Like,
yeah.
What did you learn or discover in that journey, or do you remember it? Like, how is it?
Yes, of course I remember. I wrote about it.
Well, no, I haven't read your book. I'll be honest, I haven't read it. I've read I'm gonna read your book for sure. But I did read the excerpts and stuff like that where it talked about that. So, but during that, is it like a physical jump or is it a mental jump?
It's physical. Well, actually, they could do both, but at the project was about physical. What happened, to go back a little bit, is that since 1940s, the American government, other governments have been in contact with various civilizations. The beings who come from the star system Sirius A had very high technology, and they gave the American government time travel technology, but they didn't give them instructions. They also gave them points in time and space. Every point in time and space has a unique frequency or vibration. No two are alike in all of creation. So if you're in point A and you want to go to point B, and you know the frequency of point B, then you take the frequency of point B and you vibrate it with point A, and there's an instant connection. No time change. It's just instant connection because it can only exist in one place. So they gave us coordinates of various locations, and then we found out some of them were wrong, probably purposely wrong. And so they would send somebody out, and that person would never come back. They'd wind up under the ocean, out in deep space, in a rock, wherever they happened to be, and they would die. So one of the things we did at Montauk was we would test points in time and space. We would send an object or an anchor, and if it sent back a signal, we would know that it's a good location, and then they would send a person through. And yes, you're very much aware of where you were going and who you were and so on, And so that's how we mapped different places in time and space, and that's how time travel can occur as well. Actually, the truth is there is no such thing as time. There's just the eternal now. It's simply a question of where you're focused in that eternal now. So that's how time travel can be accomplished.
Now, let me ask this question. How many so-called time travelers, is there a number to it? Do you believe that some of our elites are actually from different places? Like, where does it end? Like, where does the depths of it end? Where's the control when something like that gets passed down?
There's all those photos of people like Elon Musk having doppelgangers in the 1800s and stuff like that. Greta Thunberg, I think is her name, is another one of those.
Well, she should be sent back and left there. Why'd they bring her back? I don't know.
So, if there's an eternal now, let me ask you this question again. I'm sorry, I'm dominating the questions, Fred. My mind's going a million miles a minute. I got 1,000 questions here.
I questioned earlier if he was an alien. Doc, while you were
to go back to the time of Christ. So, as a Christian, right? I'll be honest. As a Christian, some of this stuff is hard for me to process because I have a belief system that says that there's a beginning and there will be an end. Eventually, God will come back. Christ will come back, and we will have a new earth, and then we'll have eternal life, in paradise with him, right? So when you say there's an eternal now, I mean, I get that. That makes sense because you can't track time. I mean, right? The sun goes up, sun goes down. We decided it's a day, right? So that I get. But, going back, you get to travel back to the time of Christ, what did you see? Like, what makes a point specific? Like, what makes a frequency in point A and point B, right? Or does every moment in time have a frequency?
Every point in time and space is different. It comes from the mind of God. The mind of God is incomprehensible to you, a human mind.
Correct.
But I need to tell you something that maybe is going to upset you, but I have to just tell you.
Oh, you're not going to upset me. Trust me.
Wait. The Catholic Church altered the Bible. So the New Testament that exists now is not the original. That's the first thing. Second thing, the New Testament was written first in Greek. Then it was translated to Aramaic and Latin. From Latin, it was translated into German, and then from German into the other languages. So all these different iterations, translating from one language to another, where one language did not have the same word or concept as another language. So there were misunderstandings and mistranslations. For example, in the Aramaic version of the New Testament, it refers to Mary as Alma. Alma in Aramaic means young lady. When the Greeks translated it, they didn't have that word. To them, it was virgin. So she became the Virgin Mary, but the Bible didn't say that. Do you understand? And on top of
I have not read the original. I do know. Even one of my best friends, his dad was our pastor growing up, and he studied in all of his seminary in the Greek and the Hebrew original, Bibles.
Well, then he would know.
Yeah, there's a lot of discrepancy here. I will say that the translations do yield certain issues, and a lot of people don't realize actually that it was the Greek Orthodox Church that was in charge of deciding which books were in the Bible. I'm not Catholic, so you won't offend me by.
Well, I'm the Catholic
my
one
friend
here.
is Catholic.
I'm Catholic.
But no, I will say this and I think the church today as a whole, religion as a whole, is very manipulated by man, right? I think we've gotten a long ways away from what Christ
Right.
has wanted us to do, and even in my my NIV Bible, if you go in, I tell Christians this all the time. If you go read the Bible and interpret God's word into your life, you'll see a lot of stuff. Religion is man-made, right? I believe in Jesus Christ, and that's all I need. That's where my belief system starts. That's where it ends, and that's where I follow the word of God. But at the same time, God commands us to seek Him, right? And so I'm a big fan of learning, and especially as someone, when someone's speaking with detail and knowledge, perceive different realities, like it's intriguing, right? Because you want to know. You asked that question in the very beginning when you said, "Do you have a question for us?" You said, what I think was the question. What are we alive for?
I was joking about that.
I know that, but that's a legit question. I think that many people try to struggle with is, what is their purpose? What is our purpose here on earth, right? So a lot of us lean into our faith, right? And it's to be kind, spread God's word. Some people think it's money, right? And you have a totally different, sense of what that purpose could be, because you've been in so many different times and places and dimensions, so to speak. So, I guess my next question for you would be: is you speak very detailed and knowledge on a lot of stuff. Like you mentioned I think you said Draco conquered a universe, something like that. Where did you learn that information? Was that brought to you via part of the experiments done to you? Was that through time travel? Was that through how do you find that information, and how do you confirm that type of information?
That information was brought to us by beings who are not from here, who gave us the entire history of the earth since it was a ball of molten lava until that moment in time that we connected to them. And so I wanted to complete when we got cut off the last time. In our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, there are 50 mother worlds, meaning 50 planets from which humanity, all beings, emitted from those 50 planets. Okay? And within each of those 50 planets, there's something called the foundation stone, which is an energetic object under the ground that connects to its local sun, which connects then to the God mind. Here's what we need to understand. All universe, and there are more than one universe, infinite universes. All universes are connected. A black hole in one universe is a star in another. It's a connection. So a black hole breathes in energy and pushes it out through a sun in another dimension. That's how creation breathes. As above, so below. Why do we breathe in and out? Because we are doing the same as God created all of creation. It's all the same. There's one mind. That's all there is. And we are iterations or pieces of that one mind. So I want you to imagine if you were all that existed, if knowing that what God is, just one mind, nothing else but itself, and it itself didn't know where it came from. It had to think of itself, and then it withdrew within a part of itself, and that became what they call in ancient language Simsum, an energy burst that created all of reality. That's the Big Bang that the scientists talk about, but it wasn't just in this universe, it was in all universes simultaneously. And that's why the universe...
Oh, sorry to interrupt. But so how do you balance that from a faith-based perspective to a scientist-based perspective, right? Because obviously you're admitting that there's one being, one God, one eternal creator.
Yes.
Yet at the same time, there's a ton of different, you're bringing a lot of facts about different galaxies, different beings, different this. So, how does that path narrow into each other?
Creation is the multiplicity of the singularity, if you can understand that.
Yep.
God is the singularity who then expresses itself through multiplicity. So it doesn't matter if you're an elephant, an amoeba, a human, an alien, you're all from the same place, all the same. And if people would realize that, there could not be war, there could not be violence, there could not be hatred. That's what I do in my work, is to see, look, it doesn't matter what religion you are, what color you are, what you look like, you come from the same place. How could you hate somebody else? That person is part of you. It's a reflection of you.
That I agree with.
I was really curious. Is that kind of what you do with expansions, with your outreach?
Yes, we have a church. It's a Swerdlow Ministries, and it's nonprofit, tax deductible. No reporting. No, we don't say anything to anyone unless the government says, "Hey, what is this?" Then we say something. But we do humanitarian work only around the world. Everyone needs food, a home, whatever they need, we get the funds, hopefully, and we do it, and we give to whoever needs it. And we help a lot of people around the world. It's an outgrowth also of my work from medical profession. I belong to a group called the Sacred Medical Order of the Knights of Hope. It's based on the island of Nevis in the Caribbean. It's connected to the Chaldean Catholic Church of the East, not the Vatican. It's not connected to Vatican. This religion was created by St. Thomas in 60 AD. Now, Jared, close your ears because you're going to get upset now. I'm going to tell you something. Christ was a twin. There was Christ and there was Thomas. In Aramaic, Thomas means twin. And it states in the Apocrypha, which was eliminated by the Vatican, it says that Thomas looked so much like his brother, the Christ, that people mistook them for each other.
Now you're not talking about doubting Thomas, the apostle.
Talk about St. Thomas, who was the brother of Christ in the Roman times. And when Christ was crucified, Thomas left and went east to India, to what is now the area of Goa, and created the Chaldean Catholic Church. And it existed till the 1500s when the Portuguese came and they said, "What? You don't believe what we believe? If you don't, we'll kill you." So then they left and they moved to Iraq and Armenia. Iraq was a Christian country until Islam took over. You understand? I'm going to tell you something. I better watch what I say.
Time too.
What?
That Egypt was also a Christian country too.
All.
Yep.
And in 560 AD, the Pope, this was already let me tell you what the Vatican is. Before Rome was there were the Etruscans. The Etruscans worshipped a goddess who would save their warriors and bring them into an astral heaven. And she was called Vaticana. So when the church wanted to build a cathedral, they built the cathedral over the cemetery of Vaticana. And that's where the Vatican got its name, being built over an astral entity cemetery. I'm sorry, Catholic people, I'm sorry, but this is history. And the Vatican has this information. And in 325 AD, at the Council of Nicaea, they changed all of the Catholic Christian doctrines into something else. And those who didn't believe or accept were executed. Now, what people don't also know is that there were many in the Mediterranean region who refused to accept this, and they migrated across the ocean to North America. In those days, there were islands that don't exist anymore that they would hop to get to North America. Here, where I live in Michigan, in the 1800s and the early 1900s, the farmers would dig up stone tablets written in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin so that somebody would understand them. And it explained this migration. And one of the tablets delineated a supernova that they saw in the sky. And when scientists looked at this, they realized it was talking about a nova from 400 AD that these people witnessed in North America and wrote about it. So it wasn't fake.
Well, that's going to be, you lead me into this question. So
is that the Kissington Stone?
No, that was something else.
No, the Kissington Stone was about Viking
in Minnesota.
Vikings in Minnesota. But so there's actually tale. Now they say some of it's been debunked, but they can't really tell. But they found traces of iron ore from Michigan in jewelry and pieces of bronze from the Bronze Age.
Copper.
Yes. But from that upper, Michigan, I think.
Yes. Isle Royale.
And, I remember they did a thing like what was one of the shows? It was called like Destination or Expedition Unknown or something like that. They did something on it. There's a couple books about it, but basically that the Cretan people, the Cretes, who were magnificent sailors, and so why wouldn't they, have kept sailing? Why was Christopher Columbus the only one that thought about keep sailing west? But they say basically, they think that they found traces of this copper and these fine earth metals or rare earth metals back all the way into the Bronze Age that came from Michigan, and they believe that the Cretes would have come over.
It was even before then, because it was even during the time of Atlantis. The mines in the north of Michigan, the copper mines, go down so deep that in modern times we don't have the ability to get that deep. And they even found tools left over, like they left suddenly. And even in Lake Michigan and in other lakes around the Great Lakes area, under the lakes, they are finding pyramids that were sunk when Atlantis went under the ocean. So there's a lot of history that people don't know about.
Right, you brought up the pyramids. Let me ask you this. As someone who believes in, obviously, aliens, time travel, and different machines, the pyramids are a complete mystery of the world because I've been to them, and I'm 6'6", right? And those blocks are taller than me, and they're massive, and I don't see how any human being could possibly move a single brick that was made to make the pyramids. So, were they just tombs?
No.
Are there a greater significance?
No.
How are they made? In your opinion, how are they made?
First of all, the pyramids in Giza are not the same as the other pyramids in the rest of Egypt. Those pyramids are replicas. When the Egyptians came to this area, these pyramids were there already, and they tried to copy them. Here's what you need to know. What you see on top is also on the bottom. They're octahedrons. They're not really pyramids. They're octahedrons, and they're used in their shape to create interdimensional travel. That's why there's no sarcophagi in them. They were not used for burial chambers. They were used for interdimensional communication.
And to this day, back to your point about the frequencies now, the frequencies, do they ever change? So can those, if someone knew how to, could they use those pyramids for interdimensional stuff
Yes.
to today?
Yes, but there's things missing. The pyramids used to be coated in quartz crystal and with a gold cap. Those are missing. So it's not going to have the same energy. But we also have along the sides chambers that would fill with water, because water is an amplifier. So with tunnels that went to the Nile River to pump the water in around the octahedron so that it would be energized by electricity in the ambient atmosphere, and they're used as interdimensional travel.
One of the things I wanted to kind of get into is like there's a lot of fear in the world today, you know, from mankind. There's fear of asteroids coming that are alien ships. What can you tell people that have these fears of some of the things that you've experienced? What's something that you can tell them that could kind of ease their anxiety?
Nothing, because
I'm screwed.
Because what I'm going to tell you is going to create fear. Look, our solar system is surrounded by something called the Kuiper belt. And outside of that is the Oort cloud. What people don't know is in the Oort cloud is the second sun of our solar system. Now,
I don't even know what the Oort cloud is. I'll be honest with you.
I knew the Kuiper belt.
we gotta smack some learning on your dumb self. Let me tell you.
I gotta start Googling when I get done here.
My goodness, no more scotch for you with a bourbon, no more. So, anyway, listen to me. This is one of the things I'm working on with some government agencies. The Kuiper belt since 1930 has been filled with vehicles that are not from here. The solar system is in a kind of quarantine by many, many, many different species who consider the Earth to be a danger to them and humanity to be dangerous species. First of all, humans are not a natural species. Humans are a mix of various other genetics that were put together to create what we have now. So we're considered to be unnatural. That's the first thing. Second thing is, from a perspective of those who are not from here, the Earth is like the Iran of the galaxy. Volatile, dangerous, warlike. That's why these vehicles are coming in. 31 Atlas, the other one, Oumuamua, all these other ones. They're sending signals to certain governments with ultimatums. Those vehicles could travel from Kuiper Belt to Earth in 1 second in the manner I told you before, point A to point B frequency. But the reason they're doing it this way is for drama. So people say there's something coming, and it's giving you time to think about it. That's what they're doing. You will see as it approaches the Earth in the next couple of months, it will change course. It will change what's around it. You will see certain things. It's not a comet. Now, there are those
who has the ability to. There's certain. You said there's certain agencies, so certain government agencies know the communications that are coming.
Yes.
And then what do they do with that? How are they around? Are these agencies supposed to protect us from this stuff, or
they buy stocks? Probably.
Well,
yeah.
Nancy Pelosi. They make YouTube channels.
Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi should go back to her tomb.
Start her stock market choices. You'll get rich.
Yeah. Listen. There's other things that are even more important. In 1993, NASA noticed supernovas happening in the Eta Carinae star system and the Betelgeuse star system. They called it nests of supernovas. That was 1993. It was emitting huge gamma rays that were traveling through the galaxy. About 18 months ago, those gamma rays started bombarding our solar system and our sun and the Earth. It's causing the magma under the Earth to heat up and rise up, which is why we're having all these volcanic eruptions, why we're having a lot big earthquakes in places that they never even had them before. And besides all that, there are subatomic particles called muons, S. They are kind of natural in the environment, but there's been a huge influx of them. And these muons can penetrate rock, they can penetrate your DNA and make alterations, which is why we're seeing such animal and human behavior becoming violent and dangerous. You understand?
Yeah.
As this is happening, these volcanic eruptions are putting ash and dust into the ionosphere, blocking sunlight, and the Earth is going to cool down. There's no global warming, but there is a huge ice age coming.
Which some people would say is the causation of global warming. It's the extreme opposite.
There was never global warming, let me tell you.
So right now, nuclear war doesn't sound as bad as what you're describing.
Well,
I was afraid of nukes coming over from another country. Now let
me tell you about that. When I led the delegation to Istanbul in 2023, I met with Viktor Hamarin. Viktor Hamarin is with Putin. He's married to his cousin. They went to school together. Hamarin was the leader of the Russian delegation. And he said at our meeting, we have subs on your East Coast, on your West Coast, and in the Gulf of, well, he said Mexico, but now it's Gulf of America. And he said one missile in Yellowstone is the end of the United States. So we said, well, it would be the end of Russia too, because that would be global disaster. And he said, we know it, but sometimes you have to commit suicide to stop the other side. This is the mentality. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
They have no problem with this. So that's why the work I'm doing now is so stressful and so tense, because I get messages that I have to give to them and give this one back. And there's a lot of things that are volatile right now that people have no idea about them.
Well, don't tell me anything I'm not supposed to know, because I don't need them on my doorstep. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I already gave them your name. So
they already had it. If you have a cell phone, they know exactly where you're at.
True.
Yeah, Dr. Swerdlow, I know.
I think these were made by aliens. You know?
It's from alien technology, yes.
I wouldn't, it's funny. So my stepdad's in computers, or he was in computers, retired now. And he was talking about,
Jared, you talked about Hollywood getting a lot of stuff right. There was a show a few years ago that was about aliens infiltrating the country, and one of them was like, oh yeah, we use these to get in y'all's head, like we control you now. We don't, it's not even any work anymore.
Yeah, my stepdad in the 90s and early 2000s, they had massive warehouses of servers that would to get the computing power of what we have in our hands now. So the technology has definitely gone crazy. AI, I'm convinced AI is alien. So it's alien intelligence. That's what I'm calling it. It's not artificial. It's alien intelligence. From now on, AI is alien intelligence.
But it's also, you have to combine it with quantum, because they're going to work together in the near future.
Well, that's a lot to wrap my head around. Like
I said, Dr. Stewart, honestly, talking to you is fascinating, because one question leads to another question for me, leads to another question. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your willingness to share. I know your viewpoints aren't necessarily always recognized by others.
I'm not politically correct.
Yeah, and you know what? And you shouldn't be. So we like to provide a space where people can come talk. Like I said, we have questions. Sometimes we laugh, we joke. You've definitely given us a lot of inquisitive insight and things to think about. And whether people believe it, that's on them to determine on their own. But
can you tell people like how they can learn more about you and your books, and how to follow you, get your newsletter and such?
Well, you can go to our website, expansions.com, EXPANSIONS.com, expansions.com. And from there, you can connect to the Swerdlow Ministries website, And on there is a one-stop shop for books, videos, healing, whatever you need, spiritual work. My wife and I, every Wednesday, do a webinar on self-help, healing, spirituality. And that's the thing that's most important in modern times. Spirituality must exceed technology. Otherwise, the civilization is doomed. When technology exceeds spirituality, that's the end. So one of the things I suggested to the government is that they should put the Bible code in all their AI software so that AI never decides that humans are dispensable. You understand? Yeah. So this is something they're looking at.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So my last question for you.
I don't believe you.
I mean, in all seriousness, I feel like we gotta. If you'll come back, I would love to have a more scripted conversation for you because Jared's just got question after question.
I want to read your book. Stuart, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you again after I read your book. And this is funny because Fred and I always do. Right before our last question, Fred and I we always do show notes and try to be somewhat organized. When we knew we were talking to you, I said, you know what? We're just gonna listen. And as questions pop in my head, I want to keep it authentic. I'm just going to throw them at you. And again, I just take it all in because, you know, I think, to be honest, I think if the world did more of that, we'd be in a better place too, right? We all have our different viewpoints. We all have our different stances on things.
Yes.
But it's we forgot how to listen and how to, you know, agree to disagree on certain things.
We forgot how to respect each other.
Respect, exactly.
That's right, yeah.
So my last question for you, though, is, again, back full circle, back to the Montauk project and time travel, because that's what really sparked us to get to, you know, down the rabbit hole to get you have on here today is, and I have theories like about, you know, I know the government was involved in weather experiments and all sorts of stuff. You can talk about cloud seeding, all this stuff. Did these experiments end with the Montauk project?
No.
They are still actively going on today.
That was just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you have it, people.
I'm sorry that you were treated that way, and thankful that you took some time to spend with us. And I hope to have you back sometime, Dr.
I appreciate that. I would love to speak to you both again.
Awesome. All right, well, let's gonna do it
Stuart,
for
thank you so much.
This episode of Fourth and Neat. Big shout out to Dr. Swerdlow. Make sure you check out his site, expansions.com. You'll go there, and I'm telling you, you'll be more intrigued than you were by listening to this show. But big shout out to him. Look forward to having him back. Maybe his better other half will join us next time. Be like a couples therapy.
She would like that very much.
Yeah.
She's actually Jackie Kennedy's cousin.
Man, did see more stuff just coming out here, Jared?
I got more questions.
More questions now. He's like, Dick, it's part 2 coming up here later on. But that's going to do it for this week's.
I'm never this quiet. I'm never this quiet. My mind's just spinning over here.
I don't believe you.
It never stops. Be safe out there, everybody. Cheers.
Oh, thanks.